Let me guess. You're not trying to become a finance person. You just want life to feel easier. You want to open your banking app without that little stomach drop. You want your car to make a weird noise, and instead of panicking, you just deal with it. That's what this video is about. I'm going to talk to you. Just the few checkpoints that make money feel less scary, even if you're starting with almost nothing right now. Before 40, most people chase the wrong targets. They chase a bigger salary, a nicer car, a house they can barely afford, or some magical, one day I'll start investing plan. But the truth is simpler. Money gets easier when you hit a few boring milestones in the right order. Think of it like a video game. You don't beat the final boss by buying a fancy sword first. You beat it by clearing the early levels, getting your health bar up, and learning how not to die from the basic stuff. So here are 9 financial milestones that actually matter before 40. And no, you don't need to be rich to start. You just need a plan. And I'm calling them milestones because they're measurable. You can't kind of have them. You either do or you don't. Also, this isn't a race against your friends. Some people get help. Some people get hit with bad luck. The only comparison that matters is you today versus you 6 months from now. That's how you stay motivated and sane. Milestone 1. You have a $1,000 nothing can ruin my week fund. I'm not talking about investing. I'm not talking about retirement. I'm talking about plain, boring cash in a savings account. Because life loves surprise bills. A tire goes flat. Your phone screen shatters. Your dentist says, "So, we need to fix this." And if you have $37 in your account, every surprise turns into a crisis. But when you have $1,000 set aside, something changes in your head. You stop living like every little problem is the end of the world. You get a tiny bit of breathing room, and breathing room is where good decisions come from. How do you hit it? Keep it stupid simple. Automate $25 a week. Sell one thing you don't use. Pause one subscription. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to prove to yourself, I can stack money and not touch it. One more thing, keep this money boring. Not in crypto. Not in a stock that could drop tomorrow. Put it somewhere separate, like a high-yield savings account, and pretend it's locked. If you're tempted to touch it, rename the account Do Not Touch, so you feel slightly judged by your own phone every single time. Milestone 2. Your high-interest debt is gone. If your money life feels like you're sprinting but not moving, high-interest debt is usually the treadmill. Credit cards, payday loans, buy now pay later, balances that quietly turn into fees. This stuff is not just debt. It's a tax on your future. Here's the easiest way to understand it. Imagine you have a bucket you're trying to fill with water. Saving is pouring water in. High-interest debt is a hole in the bucket. You can pour faster, but the hole keeps draining you. So yes, you can invest while in debt in some situations. But if you're carrying a balance at 20% or 30% interest, that's like trying to run up an escalator that's going down. You can do it, but you'll be exhausted. What to do? List every high-interest debt, smallest to biggest. Pick one strategy and stick with it. Either the snowball, smallest first for motivation, or the avalanche, highest interest first for math. The secret isn't the method. The secret is consistency and not adding new debt while you pay it down. Quick reality check. If you're only paying the minimum, you're basically renting your own purchases forever. A $2,000 balance at 25% can take years to erase. So when you wipe this out, it's like getting an instant raise you didn't have to interview for today. Milestone 3. You can cover one full month of life without a paycheck. This is the moment you stop being one bad week away from chaos. 1 month of expenses means, if your paycheck disappeared for 30 days, you could still pay rent, buy groceries, keep the lights on, and handle your minimum bills. It doesn't mean luxury. It means stability. And this milestone is bigger than it sounds, because it changes your behavior. When you're broke, you don't choose what's best. You choose what's urgent. You take the first job offer. You ignore the weird noise in your car. You say yes to stuff you can't afford because you don't want to look broke. But with a month of breathing room, you start acting like a planner instead of a firefighter. A quick rule. Take your monthly needs number, housing, food, utilities, basic transport, minimum payments, and multiply it by 1. That's your target. If your needs are $3,000 a month, your milestone is $3,000. If your needs are $1,800, your milestone is $1,800. This is personal, not a flex. And if your monthly number feels huge, don't freeze. Shrink the game. Start with 2 weeks, then a full month. The point is to build a buffer that buys you time. Time to think, time to compare options, time to not panic when life gets loud. And listen, if you're thinking, that sounds impossible, good. That just means this is the right milestone. Most people never get here because they aim at the wrong things first. Milestone 4. You've got a real emergency fund, not just good vibes. A $1,000 buffer saves your week. A real emergency fund saves your life plan. This is the money that keeps a bad month from turning into a bad year. If you lose your job, get sick, or your rent jumps, you don't instantly spiral into credit cards and panic. The target most people use is 3 to 6 months of basic expenses. Not your living like a king budget. Your survival budget. Rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, minimum payments, and whatever keeps you able to work. If your survival budget is $3,000 a month, then 3 months is $9,000 and 6 months is $18,000. If it's $2,000, then you're aiming at $6,000 to $12,000. That's why some people say save $10,000, like it's a magic number. For a lot of households, it's roughly the middle of that range. Here's the psychological part. Once you have this, life stops feeling like a tightrope. You're still careful, but you're not fragile. Now, I know what you're thinking. 3 to 6 months? That's huge. So don't treat it like one giant goal. Treat it like checkpoints. First, get to 2 weeks of expenses. Then 1 month. Then 2 months. Every time you hit a checkpoint, you're buying yourself time. Time to job hunt. Time to negotiate. Time to not swipe a credit card out of fear. A practical trick. Build it in layers. Keep the first $1,000 super accessible. Keep the next chunk in a high-yield savings account. And if you're worried you'll spend it, hide it from yourself by not keeping the bank's app on your home screen. Sounds silly, but it works. And yes, it's okay if building this takes a while. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they try to save like a robot for 2 months, then they snap and spend everything. You want boring and steady. Even $50 per paycheck gets you moving, and movement is what changes your identity. If your expenses are high, the goal isn't to suffer. The goal is to adjust the big levers: housing, car costs, and subscriptions. Cut one big bill, and your emergency fund target shrinks automatically, which makes the thing easier to finish. Also, this is the fund that makes you braver in a smart way. You'll apply for better jobs. You'll negotiate harder. You'll leave toxic situations sooner. Not because you're reckless, but because you're not trapped. 2 rules so you don't mess this up. First, separate it from your everyday money. Different account, different bank if you have to. Second, decide what counts as an emergency before the emergency happens. An emergency is, I have to pay this to protect my health, housing, or ability to earn. An emergency is not, I'm bored and there's a sale. Milestone 5. Your money system runs on autopilot. If there's one thing I've learned watching friends succeed with money, it's this: willpower is overrated. Systems win. Autopilot means your finances work even on weeks when you're tired, stressed, or feeling a little impulsive. It's the difference between I should save and I save. At minimum, you want 3 automations. 1. Bills get paid automatically, so you don't rack up late fees and shame. 2. Savings transfers happen automatically, even if it's small. 3. Investing happens automatically. And yes, investing. Not because you're trying to get fancy, but because inflation is quietly eating your cash if it sits there for decades, and because compounding only works if you start the clock. If your job offers a retirement plan with a match, treat the match like free money on the sidewalk. Pick it up. If they match 3% or 5% and you're not taking it, you're basically turning down a raise. If you don't have a workplace plan, you can still invest through a regular brokerage account or an IRA. Keep it simple: broad index funds, consistent contributions, long-term time horizon. You don't need to be a stock picker. You need to be consistent. A super simple goal before 40 is to get to a point where at least 10% of your income is automatically going toward your future. If you can do 15%, even better. If you can only do 1% right now, do 1% and increase it later. The habit matters more than the starting number. Milestone 6. You hit $20,000 saved and you feel the walking away effect. Let's be honest, $20,000 doesn't make you rich, but it makes you dangerous in the best way. It gives you options. At this level, you can handle most real-life surprises without your whole personality changing for a week. You can fix the car, replace the laptop, cover a sudden flight, pay an unexpected bill, and still not go back to zero. And here's the sneaky part. The biggest change isn't the money. It's how you show up. When you're broke, you tolerate nonsense. You accept bad deals. You stay quiet at work. You cling to people who drain you. You say yes when you mean no, because you can't afford conflict. When you have walking away money, you stop begging life for permission. You start choosing. You don't have to quit your job on a whim. You don't have to start a business tomorrow. You just need to know you could walk away if you had to. That knowledge changes your posture, your voice, and your standards. One warning, because this is where people sabotage themselves. Do not celebrate this milestone by buying a payment. The fastest way to go backward is to turn savings into a car note. If you want a nicer car, fine, but don't trade freedom for a monthly bill that follows you around for 5 years. Milestone 7. You reach your first $100,000 invested. Up to this point, saving can feel like you're filling a swimming pool with a teaspoon. You work, you transfer money, you do the right things, and the number barely moves. Then you hit your first $100,000 invested, and something weird happens. Your money starts talking back. Not literally, but you'll notice days where the market goes up and your account grows more than what you saved that week. That's the moment compounding stops being a concept and starts being an experience. Now, I'm not saying $100,000 is easy. For most people, it's the hardest one. But that's exactly why it matters. It proves you can play the long game. It proves you can build a habit and keep it. How do you get there? The boring way. Automatic contributions, broad index funds, time, and a big focus on the 3 things that move the needle most: your income, your housing cost, and your transportation cost. Everything else is smaller than it feels. Milestone 8. You stop buying monthly payments for your lifestyle. This one is sneaky because payments look normal. Everyone has them. Car payment, credit cards, furniture financing, phone upgrades, subscriptions, memberships. It's only $49 a month. And then you wake up and half your paycheck is already spoken for before you even buy groceries. Also, quick clarification, $100,000 invested is different from $100,000 sitting in checking. Cash is for safety. Investments are for the long game. You need both, and that's why the earlier milestones exist. When you reach this level, you'll also experience your first real market drop. It might be a scary headline, a red day, or a month where your account is down thousands. The milestone here is not never lose money on paper. The milestone is staying calm. If you can keep investing when everyone else is panicking, you're basically buying future wealth on discount. A simple trick: stop checking your account every day. If you wouldn't weigh yourself after every sip of water and expect progress, don't do that with investing. Pick a schedule, like once a month, and stick to it. Now back to the payment lifestyle thing. One of the easiest ways to spot trouble is to add up all your required monthly payments: car, minimum debt payments, subscriptions, financing, and anything you can't cancel quickly. If that pile is huge, your life is fragile. A single setback knocks you over. So before 40, try to build a low fixed cost life on purpose. Drive something reliable, not impressive. Keep housing reasonable. Don't upgrade everything the moment your income goes up. And if you do want to upgrade one thing at a time, with cash, after the milestone is secured. The funny part is this: the person with no car payment and a boring lifestyle often looks average, but they're the one quietly building real wealth. The person with the shiny payment plan looks successful, but they're usually one missed paycheck away from stress. You don't need to judge them. Just don't copy them. If you want freedom, copy the calm person, not the loud person with the newest stuff. Before 40, a huge milestone is having a life that is cheap to keep running. Not cheap in a sad way. Cheap in a powerful way. Because when your fixed costs are low, your savings rate shoots up without you feeling like you're suffering. And your emergency fund lasts longer. And job loss is less scary. And you can take a risk without needing a miracle. So the goal isn't never enjoy anything. The goal is don't trap future you with payments you'll hate. If you want one rule that's simple enough for a kid: if you can't comfortably pay it off fast, you probably can't afford it yet. Especially cars. A car should get you to your life, not eat your life. Milestone 9. You know your freedom number, and you're actually on track. Most people have a vague dream like, I want to be rich, or I want to retire early. That's like saying, I want to get fit, without knowing if you're trying to run a mile or win the Olympics. Your freedom number is just a target that turns a dream into a plan. Here's a simple version. First, estimate how much you spend in a year on your normal life. Rent or mortgage, food, bills, insurance, fun, everything. Let's say it's $50,000 a year. A common rule says you can live off about 4% of your investments per year for a long time. That means you'd aim for about 25 times your annual spending. For $50,000, that's about $1.25 million. Now, don't panic if that sounds huge. You don't have to hit the full number before 40 to win. The milestone is knowing the number and building momentum toward it. If you're 35 and you can see the path, you're ahead of most people. If you're 28 and you can see the path, you're dangerous. If you're 39 and you can see the path, you're about to make your 40s a completely different decade. And if you're not on track yet, that's still useful information. It tells you what lever to pull, earn more, spend less, or delay the timeline. Plans can change without you failing. $1,000 buffer. Kill high-interest debt. 1 month of expenses. 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Autopilot bills, savings, and investing. $20,000 breathing room. $100,000 invested. No payment-based lifestyle. And a real freedom number. If you do nothing else after this, do one thing. Pick the next milestone only. Not all 9. Just the next one. Write the number down. Make it automatic. Then let time and consistency do what motivation can't. Because the real flex before 40 isn't a watch or a car. It's waking up on a random Tuesday and realizing money doesn't control your mood anymore. That's the milestone behind all the milestones.